This NHL record has stood the test of time for more than 100 years. It's one of the greatest goal-scoring records of all time. The goal-scoring greats of the game throughout history, like Alexander Ovechkin, Wayne Gretzky, and Mario Lemieux, have never come close to eclipsing this record. On today's episode of Hockey History, we take a look back at the greatest record in NHL history. The date was January 31st, 1920, and the now defunct Quebec Bulldogs were playing the Toronto St. Pats. The NHL was only in its third year of existence in 1920, and this game, like most games back then, was played outdoors. The temperature was minus 25 degrees Fahrenheit, minus 32 Celsius. The Bulldogs would go on to win that game 10-6, but the ultimate score of the game didn't matter. It was instead what the first superstar of the league did that night that would go on to make hockey history. The Phantom, Joe Malone, was the NHL's first goal-scoring superstar, and that night, playing for the Bulldogs, he scored an unbelievable 7 goals in one game, a record that has stood the test of time for over 105 years and counting. With all the great goal scorers in NHL history, it remains surprising that no one has come close to breaking that record, or even tying it. The Grade 8, Alexander Ovechkin's highest goal count in a single game, is 4 goals. He did it 4 times in his career, with the last time being on October 7, 2017. The Great One, Wayne Gretzky, scored 5 goals in one game 4 times in his illustrious career, all with the Edmonton Oilers in the 1980s. While Mario Lemieux scored 5 goals in a single game, he achieved that mark 3 times in his Hall of Fame career. The closest that anyone has come to tying the Phantom's record was 6 goals in a single game. In total, 7 players have scored 6 goals in an NHL game throughout history, including the Phantom's linemate, Uzi Lalonde, who scored 6 goals on January 10, 1920, against those same St. Pats that Joe Malone would go on to victimize 7 times later that same month. Malone himself scored 6 goals on March 10, 1921, against the Ottawa Senators. And the last player to score 6 goals in a single game was Maple Leafs great Darryl Sittler, who achieved that feat on February 7, 1976 against the Boston Bruins. The Phantom, Joe Malone, would play a total of 7 seasons in the NHL for the Montreal Canadiens, Quebec Bulldogs, and Hamilton Tigers. He played a total of 125 games in his entire NHL career, scoring an incredible 146 goals in those games. In his first NHL season, which was also the league's first season, the Phantom scored 44 goals in just 20 games, a single season goal per game average of 2.2, which is yet another NHL record that is unlikely to ever be broken. However, it was on that one fateful night of January 31st, 1920, when the Phantom Joe Malone scored 7 goals in a single game that made hockey history as arguably the greatest single-player record in the NHL.